Welcome to this Word of Hope for Sunday, September 17th, the 24th Sunday of Ordinary Time. And we have this parable today in our Gospel of the wicked servant who couldn't forgive his other servant after himself being forgiven. I think there's a couple really important points to realize here. That in the parable, Jesus has this servant who asks the king, who is begging, who is on his knees, pleading, because the amount was so much, there was no way he could ever repay it. And the king almost immediately forgives him. But then the servant, who then had someone else who owed him a very small amount, something that could have been paid if he was patient with him, could not and did not let the other person off the hook. And there's those two dynamics there that I think are important to realize, that when we're before the cross, there was a debt that we all have incurred that can never be repaid. And we are there begging. We also know that we've had people before us who have hurt us in ways that could never be repaid. But what God also tells us too is that what we bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and what we loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. How many people have we put in prison? How many people have we bound and held God's hands because we couldn't forgive? Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not saying that the consequences don't sit there. Forgiveness allows us to move forward. And on my retreat, there was a reflection that we did on this very gospel. And there was this image that I really liked, this sort of meditation about. Imagine there's someone that has really hurt you, a debt that cannot be repaid. And they are before Jesus, and they're on the ground begging like that servant, pleading, because they know that that cannot be repaid. And they're there before Christ for his judgment. And before Christ passes judgment on them, he looks to you and he says, before I pass judgment, I want you to weigh in. And you sit there, you look to Jesus, and you say, Lord, I forgive this person. I release them into your mercy. And Jesus then looks back and says, look, let me be clear. You release them to me. You release them to me, meaning like, this is not about you and this person anymore. This is now about between me and this person. Is that true? Do I have that right? That you will put it out of your mind? That you will hold it and talk about it only in like spiritual direction or in special sermon, but not to hold it? Is that what you're saying? Can you say yes? And if you say yes, listen to the Father then watching this play out and saying thank you. Because we're here for Christ. We're here for Christ. Not just about his work, but for him. And like I said yesterday in our Word of Hope, the biggest, most difficult teaching of the Catholic Church is his unconditional love for us. How many times has Christ forgiven us? How many times? To forgive is to be free. And to be free is to be able to find peace and joy. God bless.